we have deployed a plan that is more potent than what the enemy has done. And it will now fix a time frame, whether anybody likes it or not. They had all the guns all the while. They've been in power all the while. They've stolen the monies in trillions all the while. But today, all of what they are doing is mandated by the constitution that has our signature. That's the end of their title deed. Today, because we had launched that assault on that constitution in such a formal manner, after getting the nationalities to repudiate, we then got them together to, launch their enforcement, the force majeure. After they repudiated by war of solemn assembly, they said it to the hearing of the whole world that this cannot remain the basis of the union because it becomes master and servant for them. And from there, the constitutional force majeure that was now to put a time frame, to compel a time frame, failing which, if we're not discussing, we're dispersing. And we're not apologetic at all. In fact, I'm sure we've heard it a number of times when I said that we owe it an urgent duty to put that Nigeria that unitary Nigeria defined by this constitution to death. And so, if any one of us, whether it's P2B or Tinubu, we know them equally. If any one of us decides to go to stand with the enemy on that constitution that we've struggled these 24 years to take down, anything that happens to that constitution will happen to that person. And I'm sure all of us present in this meeting had heard when, in one of the broadcasts, I said, because people may be saying, oh, there could be people somewhere who will get maybe Niger Delta, some of them will not agree. I have on national TV, more than twice on AIT. AIT is about 5 minutes maneuver from the hill into the villa. If you come down from that hill, you just make a turn, to the right. You are in the gate. You are inside the villa already. On a Sunday morning, it could be 5 minutes or less to get to where the president is seated. On more than 2 occasions, I had said on live national TV that is 1 hour program or 1 hour plus that we will put that Nigeria defined by this constitution to death, whatever it will take. And sitting presidents had listened to it live. So there's nothing we're going to put in any nicer way or diplomatic way. We will do whatever it will take to take down that constitution. And so if anybody, if it's like a building that has to be brought down, and the people who have come to bring it down are telling those inside it to please come down, come out. Let's pull down the rickety thing that has been killing our people so that we can build another one. We can build something else that will take the multitude of people that are out in the rain. Because what we had there is not accommodating all. It's taking care of only about 5% if you expand it 10%. The balance of the 90% are looking for where to run to. They can feed, they can educate themselves, they can house themselves. They are living at the mercy of the elements. Most of them, they may have university degrees, they may work in some ministry for some time, but you can't plan anything in a situation where people are right behind your backyard, sharpening their life to come to behead you. Whatever you have, and they can come unchallenged and kill in your community, then you are miserable. And so, it is, if anybody allows himself to be deceived into thinking, okay, let's go and make the profit. We was very clear in that constitutional force majeure. If anybody wants to understand what we want done, that the destination we seek and how we intend to get there, the roadmap and the time frame is not indefinite. We say we must now stop the journey to this election so that we can do it now. We have been waiting since 1967 to conclude that discussion. They have been evading it. Now we have forced it. The constitution is now in distress. We have declared that emergency. That was the force majeure. And they went on to that election. We have again caught up with them to declare the interregnum. That interregnum is simply that we do not have a government in place because what they did was in defiance of both the Constitution and the Electoral Act. At a time we were already looking for ways and means to behead the Constitution for whatever is left of his life. So they came at the wrong time to now is like a patient that is in the hospital struggling for his life, and somebody manages to get to the maybe one of the doctors, one of the nurses, for whatever reason, to now inflict a machete wound on a patient that was already struggling for his life. That's what they did in that election, and so it is the forces higher than them, it's the forces of heaven that push them in that direction, and so we have pinned them down because going back to the 5-point proposition, you will see that we pointed the Constitution as the dispute we have declared that there are grievances and we must now accept that our union is in distress. That's number one. That we must now accept that that Constitution that turned everybody's life upside down must give way. We must accept that we can't go to another election so that there can be a time frame. We must accept that the discussion that will take place is not among friends in Abuja. It's not amongst beer parlor associates. It must be amongst the owners of the lands that were locked down into the Union of Nigeria. That's Yoruba as Yoruba standing in Yoruba land. Ijo as Ijo standing on Ijo land. Igbo as Igbo standing on Igbo land. These are the people that will come. That's what they've been avoiding since 1900. They've never called the owners of the sovereignties to any meeting. They always look for the people they can manage, the politicians they can, compromise in some way or cut deals with. This is the first time the owners of the land had organized themselves. They never imagined people in high positions, people in government, in big institutions, both at the UN and in the US. They had told me face to face that they would never have imagined that any group of black people could put together the kind of thing we put together. The only people who do not know the weight of what we are doing is our people. So they're still discussing PDP and APC and who win and who don't. We will not allow anybody govern with that constitution. Whether it's my twin brother or my neighbor or my nephew, anybody at all, no matter what has to be done, that constitution will go down. Every other thing, including war, because we're already at war. What is war? Is there any other war that can come to Benue now than the ones being slaughtered there? Is there any bigger war that can come to me, Southern Kaduna people, than what they are seeing now? And so we're already at war. And we saw what El-Rufai said about their victory. Yes, he cited Islam, but he's not talking Islam. He's talking their Fulani agenda. He's talking their Fulani agenda. The only thing, if we go back to our discussions of 2019 in National Press Club in Washington, where we were making that distinction that it is the Fulani ethnic agenda that is wearing the garment of Islam. So our Christian brethren that say, Christian is about to be defeated by Muslim, that is a disguise. That is a decoy. The main thing is that it is the ethnic agenda wearing the garment of Islam and further disguising itself as Federal Republic of Nigeria, Federal Government of Nigeria. When they bring Yoruba faces and they bring Ijaw faces and the three of them hold hands, it begins to look like Nigeria truly, but it is the caliphate operating through another front. That is the alliance of 1967. We are making all this. I'm happy there are at least two persons present in this meeting who are aware that this issue that has come up again, at the time Tinubu went to bring his caliphate friends in 2011, 12, 13, at the time they were battering Jonathan with falsehood all over the place, creating commotion and marketing on the global stage just to get rid of him. We raised the issue with our associates in this campaign. Say, Yoruba is gone in the wrong way. Will Yoruba stand with Tinubu in what he's doing? Because it's going to have consequences. I had to challenge one of the retired generals. In fact, I will name him. I had to challenge General Kayade. I said, look at what is going on. It had happened a whole number of times in the past. On this occasion, not on my watch, let nobody say they were wronged. That on this occasion, that the Yoruba will go to join hands with the Fulani to injure the East, to continue their alliance, the benefits of selling 3 million barrels of crude oil every day and sharing the money and locking down the destiny of the black man. He disputed it. What you heard in that broadcast of today, of the number of times it has been done in terms of human beings that come from one part and the other, being president or vice, in tongues. That was what I confronted him with as evidence of what I was saying. He was in the thick of it. Everything credited to Adekunle in the war. There was the front leg of it. He was the strategist in the field, and so he knew what I was talking about. So he called an emergency meeting. He called an emergency Yoruba meeting to say, this is the complaint, and that the quarters from which the complaint is coming, that the foundation upon which they are building is going to collapse on everybody's head. It will have collateral damage, plenty of collateral damages, if that is the way we choose to go to solve it. But I've always maintained and made it clear that if we have to go that way, so be it. So be it. And so that meeting was called. The attendance was extraordinary in Ibadan. You don't want to hear the list of those who came. The place was filled up. And this same Tinubu found a way, because when he heard the agenda of the meeting, he became interested in financing so that he could control the outcome. Because that meeting was supposed to take a stand against what Tinubu was doing. At that time, they hadn't quite, it hadn't become this bad, but it has gone very far. What was their conclusion in the meeting? Somehow, the reasonable, the more honest, reasoned with the truth. The less honorable, the less honest, then began to rationalize it and say, well, you see, in a period of famine, when there's no food and no meat, if a child, that nobody sends his child to go to hunt for snake, but that if in a famine a child goes astray, goes into the bush and comes out with a big snake, the community will rejoice and say, oh, meat has come, and they will share. What does that mean? He was saying nobody sent Akitola. He was saying nobody sent Obasanjo. He was saying the Tinubu you see, we didn't send him. But you see, if now that he has gone and they have grabbed the power, well, some people are going to make benefit because they were thinking then that Oshibajo will be able to do so much more for them. Obasanjo was a military head. Then he came back as two-time president, standing on this constitution that will not let anybody breathe. Yoruba people are perishing in the UK today. Yoruba people are perishing in the US just because their homeland has no accommodation for them. And so, the ambition of one man, the ambition of one renegade, is enough to sacrifice the destiny of millions of people. As it is with Yoruba, so it is with Igbo, so it is with Ijo. All of those who go to join to sustain that constitution. It was that alliance of 1967. The North, the renegade wing of the Yoruba West, and renegade elements from the Niger Delta. There was Dababiriye, who went to sign the accord with Sokoto. At the time, the East had to be beaten down. Then came Kensaro, Isaac Boro. Trouble came. Genocide was launched. Our people in the eastern half of southern Nigeria, if you were not Yoruba, then you were Igbo. Whether you are from Calabar, or from Oron, or from Ikom, or from Mugel, everybody was killed in that period. When people who ought to come to plan what to do to save those who have not been killed in eastern region began to plan, Isaac Boro, aided by people from that alliance, declared Niger Delta Republic. This same type of Niger Delta that is happening today, South-South, happening today. Isaac Boro declared, in the midst of that confusion in which the house was supposed to hold hands since they were all being killed, or was Philip Effiong Igbo to have been second in command? If Igbo were killing his people, he would be second in command, and Ojukwu will hand over command of because people thought it's only towards the end of the war that Ojukwu, when they wrote Ahera Declaration that defined the Biafra vision, Ojukwu had to go to sit with them where they were doing it. He handed power to Philip Effiong in the hottest part of that war. Philip Effiong was the head of Biafra state. So it wasn't to the tail end when he became bad. Some of the bravest men in that war, some of the most outstanding breakthroughs in that war came from the commitment, extraordinary commitment of the non-Igbo, who saw that the danger was upon all of us. And so, as it were, Isaac Boro was used to fracture eastern Nigeria in that Niger Delta Republic that lasted 12 days. Ojukwu was the governor. People were being killed, and he had to find answers for how the ones who were in the homeland would not be killed. And then this fellow from at the natural protection of eastern region from the Atlantic waterfront joins the enemy to try to yank off. They were all looking for oil. At the end of the day, how did Isaac Boro die? It was the same Nigerian troop that killed him. Then comes Kensaro Wiwa. Kensaro Wiwa sat with he slept on the same camp beds with Abacha throughout that war. Abacha did not do military service elsewhere other than in Port Harcourt. At the end of the day, what happened to Kensaro Wiwa? They hung him. The same Abacha that shared the same bed with him. He was administrator of Boni, but that Boni of the time, Boni province of the time is today's Rivers State and Bayelsa State put together. The Boni province of Eastern region is two states today. And so, when you look through all of it, you now begin to see that if after all of this, with all the potential that the Igbo have and the Yoruba have, and because a few renegades, characters like Peter Obi and Pat Utomi, his marketer, they are not listening to what the problem is and what the solution should be. Their eyes are on the government house. Nothing will be spared. We're not talking about individuals, because everything we say we will do, we stated it in a manner that we could carry to the international community to say, look, we have a union that will consume us if we do not rework it. Anybody who decides to go to hold hands with those who imposed that apartheid constitution on us is the enemy. At the time we said this in 2020 in that force majeure, the candidates had not emerged, so it wasn't because we saw Peter Obi or we saw Tinubu that was saying, if there are people who believe that they should continue to feed on the blood of the other people, I tell you for certain that they will perish with that Nigeria. The Nigeria is already gone. They do not know. But we have now launched into another gear that will bring it home to them that they have no union. It begins with having no government. What's the reason? Constitution. Does anybody remember Domino 2? Is it not election leading to constitution, then union? Are we not in that threshold now? That election is in distress? The constitution was already in distress and now having a further damage on account of election. They had to defy the constitution to get to somewhere in the election that they shouldn't have held. And now they think they still have a union. I'm sorry for them, but we have articulated it as clearly as we can. And God opened the mouth of El Rufai to declare that the Fulani agenda is prevailing. That was all we needed all the while. Our people were arguing with us. So if anybody wants to die because they want to keep Nigeria one, well, let them get ready. Let them buy their caskets. But if anybody is stupid enough to think that they are going, no matter what they do, if Buhari's guns and all the multitude imported from across the Sahel with more guns was not enough to hold the tide, woe betide the Peter Obi or the Tinubu that will stand on that constitution. The document will go down and everything standing on it, including the human elements, will go down with it. The line is wrong, and we're not making any apologies or pretenses. There's not going to be any diplomacy around it. What we have done, what we put out 2 days ago, is to notify them that you don't even have the status of government to come to talk to us. In 2020, when we put out the force majeure, we said we are giving the federal government 90 days. We're inviting them and have a notice of 90 days within which they should come so that we can discuss. Right now, that window is closed. That window is lost. There's nobody that can come and there's nobody that can come as government to any table of discussion from what we put out there for yesterday. Those who did not understand it, they're going to learn the hard way. That's where we are. We have a plan to take down that constitution. We have put everything that can make it happen peacefully, because we are not planning to cheat anybody. We are only saying that after 100 and how many years? Since 1914? After 100 and almost 10 years, enough must be enough. And if anybody in pursuit of either his individual or their group aggrandizement, their group greed, which we have seen repeatedly, the people whose blood is being sucked are not going to wait until they all die. A choice has to be made. Yoruba can decide to go and perish with Tinubu. Igbo can decide to go and perish with Peter Obi. No difference between the two in what they are doing, in what they did in going to contest the election under that constitution. Their offense is already complete, and there's no punishment that's adequate for any one of them. One may be prevailing today, the next day the court may say, oh, it's the other. There will be no letting on this subject. That you come and swear to defend and uphold my enslavement, my torment. I'm sorry for you. I stop here.